Hello everyone, I'm Renown Zero. We are back talking about the Black Ranger, the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger actor who played the Black Ranger on that series, is now responding to a supposed controversy about how there's a black guy playing the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger being Asian. So I did a video yesterday talking about this exact thing. I appreciate you all for watching that video, but now we've gotten an update from Walter Jones himself saying that he's just absolutely not having it. He had a response to the original Power Rangers writer having a weird virtue signal moment about the Black Ranger being black and the Yellow Ranger being Asian. But let's get into this article here from That Part Place. It says, Black Power Ranger controversy ignites Hollywood media spin, but the original actor isn't having it. The mainstream media has once again latched onto a retro TV moment and turned it into something it was never meant to be. This time the target is the 90s kids action show, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, specifically the casting decision made over 30 years ago. According to headlines making the rounds this week, the show's head writer, Tony Oliver, confessed that it was a quote-unquote mistake because apparently the dude needs to virtue signal now over this nonsense because reasons. I guess because of a modern era, we have to see everything by skin color now instead of just seeing everything as being either good or bad. To cast a black actor as the Black Ranger and an Asian actress as the Yellow Ranger. Oliver's comments come from the new investigation discovery series Hollywood Dreams, where he claims, quote, none of us were thinking stereotypes and that he didn't realize the potential for controversy until an assistant pointed out much later. Yeah, sure. You pointed it out after the show already aired. You pointed it out, after the third season released, where again you swapped the Yellow Ranger to be a black woman, Aisha, and the Black Ranger to be an Asian man with Adam, both played by Karen Ashley and Johnny Young Bosch respectively. Sure. He added, sparking an avalanche of editorial takes, social media chatter, and surface level hot takes. You can see a picture of Walter Jones here using the Mastodon and morphing into the Black Ranger, of course. What most of these outlets conveniently left out, however, is the perspective of the actual actor at the center of this so-called controversy, Walter Emmanuel Jones, the original Black Ranger himself, which, if you ever met the man at a con, he is absolutely awesome to talk to, and he seems excited to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 30 years later still. And then, of course, they had that Rangers Forever Netflix thing going on. Posting to Instagram, Jones addressed the renewed media focus head on. He says, incredible how many media outlets picked this up. This is over on his Instagram. However, while some choose to seek out the negative, I've always believed in focusing on the positive. I understand the impulse to address what might be seen as a cultural insensitivity, but calling it a quote-unquote mistake would dismiss the impact it had on countless people around the world who found inspiration and representation in TV's first black superhero, morphing into none other than the Black Power Ranger. It wasn't a mistake. It was a milestone. It was an honor to play the character. He's always said that. Even when you talk to him at conventions, he'll tell you it was an honor for him to play the character. Swipe to hear me speak more about it on a recent episode with, of course, Jim Cummings' podcast, the guy who basically voiced your entire 90s childhood. Quote, yes, and this is the actual quote here. In one statement, Jones managed to dismantle the entire narrative being pushed. Far from feeling misrepresented or sidelined, he viewed the character role as historic, and he's right. For a generation of kids, Zach Taylor wasn't just a Ranger, he was the Ranger. He was the swagger, the energy, the cool factor, and of course the dance fighting was awesome. The fact that he would use his dance moves in order to fight, the bad guys and the putties and all that stuff. And more importantly, Jones was right. He was the first black superhero many 90s kids ever saw on screen. Even in the documentary, old camcorder footage shows Jones joking on set, my name's Walter Jones, I played Zach, I'm black, and I play the Black Power Ranger, go figure. So he was jokingly mentioning all of this stuff. It was self-aware, light-hearted, and absolutely not a moment of outrage, but of course the writer and Tony Oliver decided to have an absolute virtue signal moment with this whole thing. It was a cast having fun while making something memorable. There's also the matter of Trini Kwan. the Yellow Power Ranger on the show. You know, the someone who unfortunately passed away in 2001 due to an accident, I believe, on the Golden Gate Bridge. But it's worth noting that the original actress as the Yellow Ranger, Audrey Dubois, was not Asian. She was originally cast for the pilot, but left over a contract dispute, as in a pay-wage dispute, which again I mentioned yesterday, that later on in the seasons, you know, going into the third season, Austin St. John, who played Jason, Walter Jones, who played Zach, and Trini left the show. You know, the Dewey Trang, who played Trini, left the show due to a pay dispute, and they got replaced by Rocky for the Red Ranger, Aisha for the Yellow Ranger, and Adam for the Black Ranger, which would have been Steve Cardenas, Karen Ashley, and Johnny Young Bosch, respectively. The role was then recast with Dewey Trang, a Vietnamese-American actress who was later edited into the existing footage. In short, the casting of an Asian actress wasn't planned. It happened as a result of behind-the-scenes changes. Trang embodied the peaceful conscience of the group, which is what the team was seeking, not a demographic checkbox. Because, you know, back then no one really looked through everything through the lens of race. They looked through it through the lens of who's the best person for the job. It's also important to remember that Dewey Trang tragically passed away in 2001. Though she isn't here to speak on the current discussion, her legacy as Trini Kwan continues to inspire. Her betrayal gave many young viewers, especially Asian girls, a rare action hero they could see themselves in, without all the agenda and nonsense that you get from stuff now, from media now. Her contribution remains one of the most beloved in Power Rangers history, despite the modern Hollywood access media attempting to spin it as problematic. And while Tony Oliver now looks back on the decision through a different lens, the context matters. Neither he nor co-creator Shuki Levi were coming from a US-centric worldview at the time. Levi, who grew up in Israel, previously told Complex being a black person is like being any kind of color. It's not something we talked about all the time. Wasn't a big issue. And again, I said yesterday in yesterday's video that it wasn't a big issue then. You're seeing it through a different lens now because you want to virtue signal. Because apparently a black guy playing a black character is apparently bad, and an Asian character playing, I guess you consider an Asian character as bad because they consider them yellow-skinned. Unfortunately, nuance doesn't trend, and that's exactly what's missing in the rush to rewrite pop culture history. Instead of celebrating a cultural touchstone that meant the world to millions of kids, the media chose to drag the conversation into modern buzzword territory. Also, the fact that Billy made being a nerd and a geek cool by being just as, equipped as most of the other Rangers, even though he was just a nerdy guy. He was very good with the equipment for the Rangers on top of all that. Thankfully, Walter Jones didn't let that narrative stand. He reminded everyone that Power Rangers gave kids a world where heroes didn't all look the same, and that was the point. Representation wasn't a checkbox, it was natural, earned, and impactful. If only the media could morph into something with that kind of wisdom. So yeah, you talk to anybody who was actually working on Power Rangers, that actually was an actor on those shows, they would tell you about how much fun it was and how honored they were to play those characters. They're not entitled little bastards who are sitting up here like these guys trying to virtue signal about a race and this character having a certain race and related to this color character. It's not what it's about. It's never what it's been about. It's always been about who's the best person for the job, and clearly the people you chose were the best people for the job because they're still remembered and people still like these people and like these characters over 30 years later. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you all for checking it out. I do appreciate you all, the new subscribers, the new viewers, the returning viewers, the returning people who have subscribed. Like the video if you liked it. Comment below your feelings. Subscribe for more content. Hit the bell for notifications. Set the bell to all. That way you'll get a notification anytime I post a video or go live on this channel. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.